Good evening, brothers. I am Brother Mark Ellison, and I am the Technology Committee Chair. And this will be a brief overview of the Innovating Nu Mu Lambda Initiatives IT workshop that we conducted on October 7th. So that meeting was about 40 minutes long, so I want to summarize and make this as short of a video as possible. Please feel free to pause whenever you need to, because I'll be moving through this information pretty fast. So here's the meeting agenda. So some of the technologies that we leverage within the chapter, for the most part, overall, is Microsoft and Wild Apricot. Microsoft, of course, we use the Outlook application for emails. We use Teams application for meetings and communication. We use OneDrive and SharePoint for chapter storage and archives for like documentation and pictures. We use Microsoft Forms for chapter forms like requisition requests and reclamation applications. We also use PowerPoint, and we use that for our general body meetings more than anything. As for Wild Apricot is used for our chapter website, our chapter online store, chapter dues, payment tracking, as well as chapter events for our calendar. One of the main things that I want to put out is that Microsoft and Wild Apricot are in no way the same. They integrate at the smallest level. Wild Apricot just has automatically generated emails that are sent to Microsoft, but don't mistake the two. They're two completely different logins. Your login for Microsoft will not work for your login for Wild Apricot. With Microsoft, you have to use your DeKalb Alpha's email to log in, but with Wild Apricot, you can use any personal email that you want. I would recommend using your Microsoft email address for Wild Apricot logins, just so you can make it more simple and streamlined, and you don't have to track two separate emails, and you don't have to go through the process of having to get confused between the logins between the two platforms, because they're completely different. Also, make sure to use just one email, because some brothers will use different emails whenever they're logging in. Now they have a general member account. Now they have a contact with a completely different email. So just keep in mind to use the same email every time, because you may get confused between the one that's as a contact and the one that you're actually logged in with as a member to access all the resources. That way you don't have any issues with accessing the resources when you log into the page. So just please keep that in mind. So logging into Wild Apricot. For starters, open up your internet browser. You can go to Google Chrome, you could go to Edge, whatever browser that you want. The one that I use is Google Chrome. So you will migrate to the DeKalb Alpha's website, which is dekalbalphas.org. And if you've gone to the website, it'll automatically populate. So it'll take you to the homepage. This is what the homepage looks like. So on the top right-hand corner of the homepage, there'll be an icon right here for you to go to the login page. So you're just going to select that icon. After you select this icon, you'll be brought to the login page, and if you know your information, you'll input your email and your password. Select remember me if you like, and then you have to select the I am not a robot, and it may give you an image test or whatever, or it may not. After you go through that process, you can hit login, and then you can access the different resources on the website. So if you don't know your password or your email, or you're confused between the email because you may have one or two emails that you've used on the website, what you do is you select forgot password. On the next page, you're going to be asked to input your email that you use for the login. And when you do that, it's going to, after you input that email, you're going to hit send, and it's going to send you an automatic email notification to that email that you input. And it's going to send a link for resetting the password to that email. If it's not in your regular inbox, you need to check in your spam folder to see if it's in there. So it'll be in either of those two places. If you don't see it in your inbox, it's more than likely in your spam folder. And then once you do that, you will open up the email, and it'll send you a link. So you select that link, and then it'll take you to a page to input your new password, and that'll be your new information. So one major note that I want to point out is when you're inputting that email that it requests you to put in for it to send an email notification to you, you need to make sure that it's the correct email, because it's not going to generate an error in any way. So you need to just make sure that you enter the right email. So the main thing that I want to point out pertaining to this is the fact that it's not going to generate an error to tell you that you put in the wrong email. You have to be aware of this right here. So it says you will receive or reset instructions at the email address you entered if if it matches our records. So if you input the wrong email, you're not gonna receive anything in your regular inbox nor in your spam inbox. So you just need to make sure that you're using the correct email, because if you don't receive anything, that means you're using the wrong email. So it's not going to generate anything. It's going to check it to the system. If it doesn't match in their system, then they're going to leave it alone. And you're not going to receive anything. Just keep that in mind. And as long as you use the correct email, it'll send you the correct information. That way you could reset it properly. Now, accessing chapter resources on the Wild Apricot website. So at this point, you've logged in to the website. You've already opened up the browser and you're at the home page now. You're officially logged in. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to the members tab over here in the menu, and you'll see members only content. So you're going to select members only content. That's going to be another drop down. And here are all the resources that you'll have access to for the finance committee reporting, the NML merchandise, how-to documents that I've created, the NML leadership toolbox, everything. So this is where you'll be able to access this. So if you're not logged in on the website, none of this will be visible. I think the only thing that'll be visible is the how-to documents. Everything else will not be there. So if you go here and you don't see anything, that means you're not logged in. So here's just an example of what the NML leadership toolbox looks like. It's got the strategic planning, the general body meeting minutes, all of that information, and the requisition form is also in here. So if you need to access this information or any of the forms, this is where you'll do it. So how to log into Teams. So to log into Teams, once again, you are logged into the Wild Apricot website. You're going to go to the members tab again. And you're going to select members only content. And instead, now you're going to go all the way down to where it says NML Office 365. So when you get to that page, it's going to have this huge icon. You're just going to select this icon and it'll take you to the DeKalb Alpha's Microsoft login. After you select that icon, it's going to bring you to this page. In order to log into this page, you have to use your DeKalb Alpha's email. You're not going to be able to log into this page with your personal email, and you won't be able to access any of the chapter resources within that page. So just keep that in mind. So you're going to put in your DeKalb Alpha's email, and you're going to put in your DeKalb Alpha's password. So if you do not have that information, what you'll do is you can reach out to me, and you can either reach out to me via email or you can text me, and I can send you your email and your password, or I can reset it and I can send it to you, and then you'll be able to access it at that point, and you'll be able to log in. So you enter your email and then select next, and then enter your password, and then when you input that, you're gonna hit sign in. From there, right now it'll take you to the M365 Copilot homepage, and on your left-hand side of the screen, you'll find a menu, and you'll just select apps at that menu right here. And then from there, you can select the Teams app, or if you want to go to either one of the other apps, you can select those as well. So live demonstration. So this is just a demonstration of how to set up a Teams meeting. So if you want to set up a Teams meeting, what you're going to do is you're going to go to calendar. You're going to select new, and then it's going to bring up the meeting. So you can give it whatever title that you want. This is where you're going to input the participants that you want to invite to the meeting. And if this is the required field. So if you're a committee chair and you want to only invite your committee, if you want to make it mandatory for your committee, you could add your committee right here. And if you want to make it optional for other brothers, you would just select optional and you'd add their information here. If you want to input the time, the duration of the meeting, when it ends, if you want to make it reoccurring, you use this option right here, and you can do repeat once or twice a week, once or twice a month, once or twice a year, however you want, and whatever day you want it on. Next, if you want to make it in person, you can toggle this on, and it'll put in person just to let the brothers know. And then here you can input the location information so they know where it is, and it'll automatically populate the rest of the address and the number and all of that stuff. If you want to make the meeting available for both in person and for Teams, and you want to have it in person, but you want to have a virtual session so brothers can call in, then you'll just keep this on, and it'll generate, when you send it out, it'll generate a Teams meeting. But if not, and you want to just have it to be in person only, you can just toggle this off, and it will not include a Teams meeting link in there. If you want to add more information as far as like an agenda and everything, you can actually select this bottom part right here, and you can add whatever and this is just so when you send the notification out, brothers can go and review the agenda to see what the discussion points are, and you can also take meeting notes in here. So another thing that you can use when you're setting these meetings up, if you want to ensure maximum availability, especially with the other brothers, and that you're not conflicting with any other meetings, you can go to scheduling assistant, and you can pick a time that doesn't come, and you can see where the conflicts are if you do choose to have it at a specific time. That way you know that it's not, you have no conflicts with other meetings. But the main thing with this is that they have to have it on this calendar. If they have a meeting and it's not on this calendar, then you will not see it. After you set all this up, you'll hit send, and it'll send a email notification to all of the brothers to let them know of the meeting and that you've created it, and they'll have access to all of this information. If you ever want to edit a meeting that you've already created, what you can do is you'll just go to the calendar and you select the meeting, open up the meeting. If you want to cancel it, you can cancel it here. You just hit cancel and it'll cancel out the meeting. But if you need to change the meeting or change the time, or you need to reschedule, you just select edit, and then you can change the information here. And then you hit send again, and it'll send it to the brothers again to make them aware of the changes that you've made to that meeting. All right, so technological security best practices. So when you're creating usernames and passwords, one thing to remain cognizant of is your password and the complexity of that password, because you don't want a password that's easily guessed. So like this one right here, password 123, typical password, that is a no-go. If you want a more secure password, you use something like this. This is NML Dean of Membership. So just replacing some of the letters with different characters, a letter or numbers, is one way to make it more secure. Or you can make it a little bit more secure and just put a bunch of random characters that make no sense, that you cannot remember at all. And I'd say this route is much safer because you can guarantee that nobody can guess your password. Because typically everybody looks for the password to be something that relates to someone or has something to do with their favorite number or anything like that. But if you just do a random hashed or just garbled password, it'll be a lot better. There are also password generators that you can use, and also password managers that you can use, and I'll go over that in just a minute. So pertaining to spam text messages and emails, so just a note, spam text messages and emails and malicious links, they kind of go hand in hand. So the spam text messages and emails, these are just malicious emails that are sent out to get the person to share personal information, and that personal information could either be requested in the email or it can be received by someone selecting the link. If you feel as though you've received a spam email with a malicious link in it, do not select the link under no circumstance. If you see the link, or if you see something that looks like a hyperlink where you hover over it, the way that you can tell whether it's a malicious link is if you hover over it, it'll tell you what the actual URL says, and it'll just like it shows right here, mail to, and it shows this it shows what it is. That's basically the way that the hyperlinks work. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what the URL is. When you see the URL will make absolutely no sense. It'll have a bunch of letters and numbers and all this random stuff in it, and it won't make any sense. If it says google.com or something, then that's understandable. But if it says all this random stuff, is just a random link, and when you select that link, it'll gather information, and it may even install a virus on your computer. So just make sure not to select any links within those emails. So different types of cyber attacks. So there's phishing attacks and then there's vishing attacks. So phishing attacks are attacks via emails when the criminal poses as a trusted entity to trick victims into revealing sensitive information like passwords and credit card and details. Now, they can be requesting that information, but they could also have a link that'll get that information. So again, do not select those links. Vishing attacks is basically the same as phishing attacks, except instead of an email, it's a phone call. So they'll call you asking for your information, or they'll tell you that your computer was hacked and ask you for your personal information or the MAC address on your computer or something like that. Do not listen to those calls. Just hang up. All right, so protective strategies. So one thing that you use is a password manager. Every internet browser has a password manager. So if you want to access your password manager, what you'll do is, I'll just give you an example. If you want to access, so this is on Google Chrome. So if you want to access your password manager, you would select these three dots at the top right hand corner of your browser, and you'll go down to passwords and autofill. And then you'll go to Google Password Manager. And it'll have every website and it'll have all of your login information there. So the biggest thing about that is whenever you're logging into a website, a browser will ask you if you would like to save that password information. You select yes, so then anytime you go back to that page, it'll automatically populate your username and your password. That way you don't have to constantly write it down and trying to memorize it and all of that stuff. So it adds a bit of ease to it, and it's very convenient. So just like how I just went to that and it didn't show my passwords, it's very secure. So just keep that in mind. You can also download a phone application, which I use MSecure, but you could also use LastPass or Keeper Password Manager. And these are basically applications that you can save your passwords in, but they also generate passwords. So they'll generate one of those garbled passwords that I was telling you about, and it'll say like it'll just give you a random password, and it'll also rate your password when you input it and say, okay, this is a weak password, this is a good password, and it'll rate it by the strength, because that's really what you want. You really want a strong password. Another layer of security for your phone and for your computer is if you download an antivirus software like McAfee or Norton. And I will say use these techniques all together rather than one or the other, because although anti-software could help you if you select a link, it's better that you practice caution against selecting those links ahead of time. That way you can ensure ultimate security rather than just having something to defend when you make a mistake. So just make sure to be cognizant of any malicious links that are out there. So if you find yourself in a place where you receive an email and you feel as though it is a spam email, here is the procedure that you need to follow. So step one, under no circumstances, do not select that link at all. Do not select the link embedded within that email. So what you'll do is you're going to select that email thread, and then it's going to pull up the email page. And then from that point, you need to make sure that you select the home tab. You're on the home tab. And then what you're going to do is you're going to select report. That has a drop down, and then you're going to select report phishing. So when you select that button, it'll bring you to this page. And what you're going to do is you're just going to select report. So what's going to happen on the back end is it's going to send an email notification to Microsoft and myself. And when I receive that email, I will review it and I will check and see if it is in fact a spam email. And from there, if it is a spam email, what I will do is I will take a screenshot of the subject and the body of that email and share with the brothers to let them know that if they see that particular email, just ignore that email and delete that email from their inbox. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.